All right, now to the Middle East, where U.S. officials are taking preemptive measures after Israel warned it is considering a strike on Iran. Multiple sources tell CBS News Israel is fully ready. Iran has warned such an attack could lead to possible retaliation on U.S. bases in neighboring Iraq and other countries. And I want to bring in CBS News intelligence and national security reporter Olivia Gazis, who is live at the State Department. Olivia, good to see you. What's the latest intel on this threat?
Good morning, Tom. Well, concerns about the possibility of an Israeli strike have been percolating for a while, with Israeli officials arguing that now is the time to strike Iran's nuclear program in its weakened state with its proxies effectively eroded. Things took a more dramatic turn yesterday as the U.S. began ordering its military and diplomatic personnel stationed in the region to move away out of concerns that an Israeli strike could trigger Iranian retaliation, as you said, on U.S. personnel stationed there. Embassy Baghdad is the biggest military and diplomatic outpost we have, but there's also personnel stationed in Kuwait, in Bahrain, and we're awaiting to see whether there's additional movements ordered there. Typically, the State Department likes these things to be done in private to make sure that people can get to safety, they get where they want to go before any sort of public announcements are made. There is some thinking that the overt way in which all of this has been happening is so that the U.S. can send a signal to all interested parties in the region about the stakes of a strike and potentially forestall military action. But we are very much in a wait-and-see moment right now.
Yeah, so Olivia, you mentioned that the U.S. is moving non-essential personnel from the embassy in Baghdad. What else are they doing in the event that things escalate?
Well, interestingly, they are maintaining diplomatic channels open with Iran. CBS News is told that Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is expected to travel overseas to Oman for a sixth round of nuclear talks with Iranian negotiators this weekend. This is coming as the UN watchdog in Vienna, the IAEA, this morning formally deemed Iran to be non-compliant with its non-proliferation obligations, and that opens the door to snapback UN sanctions that Iran is vociferously protesting, calling the IAEA's move political and biased, and all of it adding to the very complex diplomatic picture that negotiators are entering into, all overshadowed, of course, by this potential specter of military strikes.
Olivia Gazis, following this tense situation from the State Department. Olivia, thank you for that analysis. And for more on this, let's bring in CBS News national security contributor Samantha Vinograd. Sam, good to see you. You've got deep background in this arena. Iran may be actively negotiating with the U.S., but it's also just tested a missile with a 2-ton warhead recently. So what do we know about the extent of the threat they pose in the region?
Well, we certainly know that Iran is trying to show the world that it still has leverage in these negotiations. So this missile test certainly does not come as a surprise. As we think about the Iranian threat to U.S. national security interests, we know that Iran has the largest ballistic missile stockpile in the Middle East. Iran has used those ballistic missiles against Israel and against other targets that the U.S. deems off limits and critical in the past. In addition to ballistic missiles, of course, Iran also has its rapidly advancing nuclear program. Now, the UN nuclear watchdog, the IAEA, did deem that Iran is in non-compliance with its obligations, and that Iran has enough enriched uranium, that's weapons-grade material, almost weapons-grade material, for several nuclear warheads if it decides to go for a bomb. So it poses a potential nuclear threat, a ballistic missile threat, and then Iran also poses a significant cyber threat to U.S. interests. So if things do go south, if Israel does strike Iran and Iran believes that the United States played a role, Iran could seek to deploy any of those levers against U.S. interests.
I want to dig into the nuclear concerns here, Sam, because Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth testified on Capitol Hill about Iran's nuclear program yesterday. But we also heard both he and the president have been presented with options to stop it. You mentioned that they have weapons-grade uranium. What more do we know?
Well, Iran has for years been advancing its nuclear program. I worked under Bush, Obama, and Biden on various matters related to Iran policy, and Iran has been enriching uranium for many years. What Iran has right now is uranium that is close to weapons grade. It is so close that it would take a matter of weeks for Iran to make the jump from what it currently has to weapons grade uranium. From there, it would have to make a decision to actually build a nuclear weapon, and to build a nuclear weapon that could actually be operational and be deployed. It's not a given that Iran will make that decision or that Iran would be able to do that. However, Tom, it is very worrisome that Iran has such a large stockpile of almost weapons grade uranium, because then what we call its breakout time to actually getting weapons grade uranium and potentially building a bomb is so much shorter than if it did not have that stockpile.
And thank you for clarifying there, Sam. I should obviously say Iran is close to weapons grade. They do not have that yet, as
Not
far
yet,
as we know.
not yet.
So this is a geopolitical flashpoint. It's a huge concern for the Middle East. The world is watching. What could the ripple effect of an Israeli strike on Iran be from a diplomatic perspective, Sam?
Well, Iran is the largest state sponsor of terror in the world, and Iran has proxies throughout the Middle East and, frankly, throughout the world. So one ripple effect if Israel does strike Iran is that Iran could activate its proxies in the Middle East and around the world against U.S. and Israeli targets. I served in Iraq 2007 to 2008. Iranian-backed proxies were very, very, very active against the United States and shot missiles and rockets at us all the time. So Iran could activate those proxies. That's why I think we've seen a drawdown in personnel in the Middle East. Could also certainly activate its ballistic missiles as well.
A development that certainly will have ripple effects in the event that there is an escalation. Samantha Vinograd, we appreciate your time and insight. Thank you.
Thanks.